Heyo, Greg Branos here for the Coach Speak Index, ripping a Ball Mania 6 draft on Underdog right now. And my guest this afternoon has been one of the pillars of the fantasy community for about as long as I can remember. And I'm old. He is the co-founder of Establish the Run, Adam Levitan. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Thanks for coming on. Adam, did you really just find out who Cardi B is?
You know, I had heard the name before, but if you put like 10 young women in a lineup, there's 0% chance I could pick her out. So, but I had heard the name before. I'm not familiar with any of her work per se.
So you were not a big fan of the Bernie Sanders 2020 campaign then, if you have no exposure to?
I guess not. I try not to follow politics at all also. So yeah, I try to stay out of everything. That's the people make fun of me. I know nothing about anything. I try to really stay in my lane, sex jokes on the internet and fantasy football. That's it.
Well, I mean, all the questions I have for you today are political, so I'm gonna have to strike those. Wanted to hear your thoughts on this whole Elon Trump thing happening right now.
That'll get views. Start talking about that.
Yeah,
they may not be good views, but that'll get views.
Bindles heard this guy has sex. Yeah,
you heard wrong.
The rumors are not true. By the way, guys, I just jumped us into a Ball Mania 6 draft, 30-second clock, waiting on 7 people there. So as soon as we get that, we will be off and rolling. Adam, very much digging the variety of shows that Establish the Run puts out. You're at the heart of all of them. You have the Market Monday pod, which you do solo. There are episodes that you do with Evan Silva and episodes that you do with Justin Herzig and Michael Leone. Do you have a favorite of one of those to record?
I actually really enjoy doing all of them. I think Silva is just like a unique person in the space that is not part of any of the groupthink that's going on whatsoever. And Silva's been doing this and doing it in a different way than I think most modern people do it, with more data and math than most people do it, but actually a harder way, in my opinion, is to generate edges and have really good rankings by mostly doing it from the gut. And Silva's ability to do that is just absolutely ridiculous. So I do enjoy that a lot. The solo ones I always like, just because I like hearing myself talk and yeah. And then for strategy stuff, Herzig and Leone, I think are probably the best. So yeah, I think it's a good mix. I mean, that's really what we're trying to do, get ball knowers and math nerds together. And I think that's how you get the best outcomes instead of just one or the other.
Yeah, did a BBM 6 with Justin Herzig on Wednesday. It was like being chauffeured around the countryside in a stretch limousine. It was a wonderful experience. Felt so at ease and safe and comfortable, and ended up with one of the best BBM 6 teams that I've drafted out of the 51 that I've done this year.
Oh my God, 51 already? Jesus.
Dude, way ahead of pace. Gotta slow down. Waiting for the puppy to open, and I think I'll just jump into those. But it's just tough when you feel like there are edges on certain ADPs to not be like, let me scoop up a bunch of these right now while I can.
Well, we're actually working on an article right now that you might be interested in. We do have all the data from the last 5 years of BBMs, and we're looking at advance rate and all that by draft date. And there's different ways that we can do this and try to show edges, but yeah, just to tease the conclusion, it's the conclusion is, from what I can tell so far from the data, is that the later you draft, the better. So yeah, maybe that'll be some way to slow you down.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense, right? Like, we get a lot more information on depth charts and all that kind of stuff. We are on the clock now, using the ETR rankings. Bijan Robinson at the top, and then CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah. On full PPR, I would consider CD, but I think in this setup, Bijan would be the one for me there.
Let's roll with Bijan.
Yeah, I
Pick
just to wrap up on the when to draft stuff. Yeah, you can get
Yeah.
massive closing value on players in terms of where they finish. However, getting 18 healthy active players through to the best ball playoffs is just like such a massive edge, and you're so much more likely to do it later on. So I draft mostly like the lower stake stuff now, and then come August and September, I try to get as much high stake stuff in as I can. It's kind of my my strategy.
Any spots that you would rather have in drafts right now, like a position on the board?
I don't think so. Honestly, like I've found good teams, what I think are good teams from all spots, and that's normally not the way I feel. I might feel differently as we get closer, and I have like stronger feelings about round one right now. But yeah, I think for the most part, like even the back of the draft, I think is pretty interesting place to draft. I think you get a lot more wide receiver starts at the back of the draft, like Neighbors Nico or Puka, AJ Brown or whatever you want to do. Here's Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas, which I want to mix in those kind of starts also with some of these hero RB starts also.
Yeah, coming up, not too far away, 4 picks away. AJ Brown, Drake London, if he lasts, would be a stack with Bijan, Brock Bowers, Bucky Irving at the top here. How are you feeling about Bowers, elite tight end?
Yeah, prefer it on full PPR with bonus sites because you can separate so much further with the tight end there. On Underdog, everything's about touchdowns, and so I think I can get touchdowns later. I'm not opposed to taking Brock Bowers here if he slips to us at 20, but I'm not taking Brock Bowers ahead of ADP like I know some people out there are. But yeah, there's probably not that many Bowers teams at 20, so
yeah, we're on the clock. Bowers is available. You want to go Bowers?
That's a unique start. I mean, I don't know if I've gotten that start yet. So yeah, I think that's probably the way to go. Like, especially in BBM, like unique starts are pretty valuable. Not that one's like crazy unique, but somewhat, I think.
Right. Yeah, because you usually don't see, like, you'll see Bijan usually in the top 4.
Yep.
Yeah, sometimes I'll go 5, but yeah, Bowers usually not lasting until 20.
Yeah,
so that's a pretty nice start.
We talked about this on a pod with Leone, like on the strategies show. Like, we're not low on Bowers. On other sites, we're actually ahead of ADP on Bowers, but with the same inputs that we use for all our rankings, we're actually behind a little bit of ADP on Bowers. And it's just people are very into elite tight end on Underdog versus other sites.
Yeah, Brock Bowers going kind of early second round. Trey McBride going late second round, and then we got George Kittle kind of in the late 40s and end of the 4th round. And those seem to be like kind of just really big tier. I mean, you could argue that it's like Bowers small tier, McBride small tier, Kittle. But I feel like after Kittle, it's just like a huge difference in the tight ends that you're getting.
For sure.
But like you said, you can get touchdowns later. Like if you're doing 3 tight end builds, we're back on the clock here.
Yeah, I mean, ADP value would certainly be Josh Jacobs, but man, we're going to be really far behind at wide receiver. I haven't tried many of these teams. If you want to try one, we could. It might block us out from taking any running backs later, but for me, it'd be Jacobs or JSN here.
Okay, I think I'll lean a little bit JSN.
Yep.
And I know you guys were talking him up a bit on a recent pod. I think it was the Herzig Leone pod. So Clint Kubiak, new offensive coordinator for Seattle, comes from New Orleans, talks about they want to use a fullback. They want to use a lot of 21 personnel. They want to use 12 personnel as well. We saw Kubiak run those 2 groupings at a 50% rate combined last year in New Orleans, which is very good for, two receivers, right? Because we don't have to worry about a third receiver kind of getting in the mix here. 50% of the time, it's really just like 2 wide receiver sets. And I mean, JSN versus Cooper Kupp, I'm not worried too much about about Cup, like you guys mentioned, huge red flag that the Rams, I mean, could not have been bigger fans of Cooper Kupp as a person, as a player, and this is a team who just goodbye, like not didn't even really entertain the thought of him coming back. They were asked like, if he doesn't get, if you can't trade him, like, would you just bring him back? Would you bring him back on a lower salary? And they're like, no, that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big red flag.
I mean, if the Saints didn't like get outrageously injured at like every position last year, Clint Kubiak was on his way to just shredding. I mean, the first like what was that? First 3 or 4 weeks, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, they were absolutely on fire. So yeah, I have a lot of faith in Kubiak.
He was like a head coach candidate after the first 2 weeks. Yeah. Oh my God, look at this! Look at what he's done with this offense, and has a better offense that he's going to this year.
Nice.
Arguably, yeah.
Brett's in this one. Killer B. I see KZ in there.
Okay, who's capitulate to be
you brought out all the superstars. Who?
Capitulate. He's on the clock right now.
That must be someone we know. I don't know.
2 picks away here. Xavier Worthy, James Cook, DK Metcalf, Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, I do think with the Rodgers signing, like DK Metcalf's ADP is about to rise. I already had a pretty decent DK Metcalf bag going. But I think with Aaron Rodgers there, you'll get some ADP value here, even if we're reaching a bit here. But yeah, I certainly prefer Worthy to DK Metcalf, but lines up nicely for us to get a couple wide receivers here just to try to catch up a little bit.
Yeah, Worthy's available. You want to go ahead and lock him in?
Yeah, and then we don't have a quarterback yet. And so like one thing that I'm thinking about already is like what kind of stack partners can we generate? I think Mahomes is set up. Personally, I think Mahomes is set up to like rebound to have one of those 40 touchdown seasons. And obviously, like the way the majority of quarterback points are scored through for pocket passes just through touchdowns, and so Mahomes throwing for a ton of touchdowns this year, given the personnel that they have. I think he's going to bounce back in a big way. So I would love to try to get a Mahomes stack going if we can.
Yeah, we got the stuff from offensive coordinator Matt Nagy the other day talking about how a big focus for them this offseason with Patrick Mahomes has been, getting back to the deep shot, which we've heard many times before. And we saw them attempt it a little bit last year. Didn't quite work. A lot of misconnections between Mahomes and Worthy. How do you envision the pass catchers there in Kansas City? Because we've seen Rashee Rice like really just destroy, but that was kind of before Xavier Worthy has an entire season under his belt. We see Worthy do a lot of the Rashee Rice stuff last year after Rice got injured. Like, do you think Rashee Rice just automatic smash, goes back to that role, has that complete role, or do you think that maybe Worthy eats into that a little bit and combines with the deep stuff that they say that they'd like to do?
Yeah, we're up next here. I'll answer that after we pick here. Yeah, I think Hampton's a tough pass for us there. Yeah, I think Hampton is kind of a tough pass for us here, so far past ADP. And I mean, gosh, if you think Najee Harris can like hold this job for the whole year, then this is going to look bad. But I'd be really shocked if by like week 4 or 5, Hampton isn't the clear 1A ahead of Najee.
Let's lock in Omari and Hampton. I've mentioned this before that, and sorry, we'll get back to this Kansas City thing, but just real quick is Jim Harbaugh after they drafted Omari and Hampton, it was striking the amount of times that he said, like, this is a guy that can score the ball. He can score the ball. He said it multiple times in that presser, and definitely got my ears perked up.
And like the only knock that, and we have Ladd McConkey ranked very high, I think, but the only knock you can make on the pass game for the Chargers, like they're not going to have a ton of volume in terms of plays run. And then also, you don't know what the run rate versus throw rate is going to be. I think ideally they want to run the ball a ton. So I absolutely love Ladd McConkey. I think he goes like roughly where he should, but you can see outcomes if they're good where Hampton and Najee are getting a ton of touches.
Yeah, for sure. And sorry to go back to this Kansas City Chiefs thing.
Yeah, it's crowded. There's no doubt. I think Rashee Rice is like legit special after the catch, and I'm not sure Worthy is that. So I think the ideal way for them, and I think the way they're thinking about it, is just get Worthy back in the deep role and have Rashee Rice resume that underneath yak roll where he crosses over the middle, passes the face of the linebackers, and gets so many yards after the catch. I think that makes a lot of sense. And then you add in Kelsey and Marquise Brown and Noah Gray, and they actually have, really good weaponry, which is why I really like Mahomes. So yeah, I'm a little worried that it's gonna be hard for both Worthy and Rashee Rice to pay off ADP, but not if Mahomes throws 40 touchdowns, which would be part of the bet that I'd be making on those kind of teams with Chiefs pass catchers.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit different. So last season, Chiefs coming off another Super Bowl win, and they do their like regular season kind of sleepwalking thing again after losing the Super Bowl. Like maybe we see a more invigorated Patrick Mahomes. Maybe we see that offense like really just tighten down and say, look at all these weapons. Like we have truly a wide array of weapons here. Let's figure out how to deploy them in the best way. It is so weird to me with Rashee Rice. He's amazing with the ball in his hands after the catch. Big, strong, fast dude. Not good downfield. Like pretty terrible contested catch player. But defenses like just can't stop this guy. And with Xavier Worthy there, like with actual legit deep threat now, that just makes it harder on defenses trying to defend this short, intermediate, manufactured touch part of the field. A couple picks away. We got quick look at our team right now. Bijan Robinson, Omarion Hampton, JSN, Xavier Worthy, Brock Bowers, Kamara, Montgomery, Jacoby Myers, and James Conner at the top of the board here.
Yeah, I think we probably need wide receiver here, and I'd be willing to reach, above our rank on Chris Godwin here to get him. It's hard to get there on projection on Godwin with McMillan and Egbuka there, but man, Godwin was just so good before he went down. So this is one where I'd like slightly disagree with our rank a little bit. I would take Godwin over Jacoby Myers, I think. However, we could set up the Geno double here, and maybe that gets a bit to Blake's question. And yeah, that's probably better actually to take the Geno double here and go for that as part of probably a 3 quarterback build. So yeah, I would go Jacoby Myers here.
Yeah, we can do Jacoby, or we can target Besh later if we want.
Yeah,
I'm good with either.
Yeah, I think Jacoby here actually is probably better. That Besh stuff, we can talk about that, but yeah, it's I think it's a bit thinner than other people do. But yeah, I like the bigger the field size of the tournament, like think about it in DFS. If like you're playing the Millie Maker, triple stacks just don't work, in DFS because you need all your guys to hit in such a big way. It's really unlikely that like Geno and 3 guys hit in a big way when you need it. In small field, though, if you're playing the Thunderdome or things that are 500 entry or something in DFS, you can have these like triple stacks and even quadruple stacks, because if like one guy is great and a couple other guys are like average, you can still really do well and finish high. And I kind of think about it the same in best ball, where God, to get to the finals, to win the finals, you're going to need close to these stone cold nuts. Now it's a little bit different in best ball because you don't have to use every guy every week. So, just for Blake's question there, like taking the entire Bengals offense in a draft, I'd rather do it in some smaller field stuff on Underdog than I would in Best Ball Mania. But I don't think it's like terrible. Yeah, and it's like a rising tide lifts all boats type thing throughout the course of the season. If the Bengals lead the league in points per game, you're going to smash.
Yeah, I do like on offenses, say like Dallas, the Rams. I think you can do it with the Falcons as well, where you feel like it'll be pretty consolidated between a couple players. Like a CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens is a fun kind of double stack, to where like when you're getting in those playoff weeks, like one of those guys should be hitting pretty much every one of those weeks, and you'll have some where both of them hit. So that's kind of a fun thing. But as far as just like an onslaught of players, like that gets a little bit tougher to thread that needle there. We are one pick away, and we're on the clock now. Khalil Shakir, Quinshon Judkins, Matthew Golden, Aaron Jones at the top here.
Yeah, it would. I would start to try to introduce some like variance to the wide receiver room. So it would probably be Golden. For me, I think we need to find maybe a little bit more upside there. I think we know we would get from Shakir, and like on median outcome, I think Shakir is probably better. But from a range of outcomes, like try to hit a ceiling in Best Ball Mania, I think it'd be Golden for me.
Yeah, very large field, chasing that upside here. I like that pick.
And we also have well, easy Dan.
Dan.
And also the other thing about that decision between Shakir and Golden is like Josh Allen's already gone, and we have access to Jordan Love now. If we need it, and again, we're probably looking for a 3 quarterback build here.
Yes, for sure. I just want to answer this question real quick from Joey Mack on when the podcast is coming back. It will be coming back. I'm not sure right now. I think we'll probably start off with some like team previews, and then like a flag plant video, and then we'll get into some other stuff. It's just really, really tough as a one-man operation, and we're in press conference season. There's so many press conferences right now that there just really aren't enough hours in the day, and it takes a good like 3 to 4 hours to like prep, record, edit, put it out. And so just trying to like answer these types of questions that people might have, obviously through the Discord and online. And if people have questions here in chat, they're welcome to ask, and we can go through that kind of stuff that we might go through on the podcast. JGFC, who I believe is in this draft with us, asking, do we think the RJ Harvey dip is over with no J.K. Dobbins signing?
I wouldn't rule out the Broncos still signing him. I mean, I'm not sure that Audric Estime and Julian McLaughlin are going to be in the NFL in like 2 years, and so them signing J.K. Dobbins would not shock me whatsoever. I assume people are going to start taking RJ Harvey again, where he probably should be going. But if there's any dip, I'm buying it on RJ Harvey, in my opinion.
I'm praying for his ADP to fall into the 60s. That'd be really nice. Audric Estime, like Sean Payton can talk all day about how he wants to give him more opportunities. First of all, 50% reliability rating on usage and workload coach speak. We cannot believe Sean Payton when it comes to this stuff. And then like I said earlier on when we were doing this with Josh Norris, like actions speak louder than words. Most important game of the season last year, Audric Estime, healthy scratch. They just have no confidence in him as a real NFL runner. And then McLaughlin, 28% of snaps last year. Just that's kind of his role. He's not going to be the guy. He may not even be like a guy really for them.
Yeah.
Hopefully, picks away.
Hopefully Mahomes gets to us.
Oh my God.
I believe this guy has 3. Yeah, he has Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and Patrick Mahomes. See, does that mean that this draft gets like? I don't think this draft should get thrown out. I'm all for like letting people fuck up. I don't know why people are always whining about drafts getting thrown out, but
we're on the clock here. Travis Kelce, it's probably too early for a tight end here. Kyler Murray's available. Michael Pittman Jr., Jalen Warren.
I would go Pittman and then try to target Justin Fields. And when I get in trouble at quarterback, this is what I do a lot, especially on Underdog, where like the rushing touchdowns are worth so much. Like I get in a pickle at quarterback. I'm like, give me Justin Fields. That's like my pull the emergency cord right there, because he's like one of the only ones I feel good about. Unstack. Now he might not get to us here, but that's just like ideally what I would be thinking about.
Justin Fields floor feels like pretty high, and the ceiling just feels crazy for him. I mean, the 100-yard games very much on the table for us with him when it comes to rushing. Maybe passing every once in a while, 100-yard games, but probably get a little more than that, I'm sure. This guy CBK,
Yeah, he already told us Fields isn't coming back. CBK.
Wow. Damn, CBK.
He said no Justin Fields for us.
Unbelievable.
Let me see the quarterback list.
Baker Mayfield, Caleb Williams, Brock Purdy, Drake May.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking about like back doors that you can get. You can get the Drake May, Kyle Williams, Hunter Henry back door, and then we have the Geno and Darnold stuff available to us. Also, tough on McCarthy. Everybody on him is already gone. Detroit, everybody's pretty much already gone. And Jordan Love, we should, yeah. So
yeah, sure, we can
I
get
think
him
like a May Geno Love room would be interesting.
I would love that. A couple picks away. Mayfield goes off. Quickly look at her. Oh, we're on the clock. Kelsey Warren, Rashid Shaheed, Caleb Williams.
Yeah. That would be Jalen Warren for me. I think there's like it starts to get a bit thin at running back once we get past kind of this tier here. And I like Caleb Johnson, but still a third round rookie. And there's some chances that like he doesn't take as much of the Najee Harris role. And that's kind of what we're baking in the ranking. Like we talked about this in the last podcast. Like we are not giving Caleb Johnson the full blown Najee role from last year. We're giving Jalen Warren a little bit more of that. And we'll see how that goes in camp and early in the year, but still think Jalen Warren's a really good player who can hold off Caleb maybe a little bit more than the Najee stuff.
Yeah, people just assuming that Caleb Johnson will step into this Najee Harris role. Maybe it's because of the offensive coordinator and head coach saying like he's a volume, he's a volume, or he's capable of being a volume runner, right? Not necessarily saying he will be a volume runner for us, but and it was really interesting with Arthur Smith talking about like we want explosive plays, He's an explosive back, which he is to like some point, but he's not like a traditional explosive back. Caleb Johnson, Jalen Warren has shown us when he's healthy, he's a very good running back. And with Aaron Rodgers there, figures to get a good amount of work in the passing game with as much as Rodgers likes throwing to his running backs. Could be a pretty good situation for Jalen Warren, even in sort of like a worst case scenario. I think he will like return value on this ADP. And then kind of the ideal like ceiling case for him is much higher than that.
Yeah.
Blake wants to know if we think James Cook is overpriced at his current ADP, considering the contract situation.
There is some data, like I think he's going to play week 1, but there is some data that guys who hold out are like slightly more likely to get injured. It's just not a big sample on that data. So I think James Cook is like fine where he goes. Yeah, I think he'll be there week 1. I do. He has like no leverage whatsoever. I don't see what he's going to do.
Yeah. And JGFC wants to know, who does Adam think is going to run in the slot in Chicago?
Yeah, I think he'll end up being Burden, but I'm still skeptical. Like everybody's so excited about this kid who really was not that productive in college at all. So we have pretty big fade on Burden right now. I can talk about that more in a second, but I think we need to reach a little bit at quarterback here. I would probably take Drake May and try to set up the back doors with May and Kyle Williams and Hunter Henry.
Love that. He is my highest exposure right now, a little over 34% now, which I love at this price. It's kind of crazy. It's people not thinking that he's going to run as much as I think Josh McDaniels will let him run this year. We saw Josh McDaniels with Cam Newton, like a end of his career, Cam Newton getting like using his legs a ton. We saw Ryan Tannehill's legs being used by Mike Vrabel in Tennessee, and Drake May, just very, very good scrambler, very good kind of just vision and field awareness and feel. Could be really nice for fantasy.
Yeah. What's Kyle Williams' ADP these days? If you search by Patriots, I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's like 120-ish, I think. 118.
Okay.
118, and he's
Yeah.
still
So that would be ideal if he could back to us. What other Patriots
love
besides
Jared
Hunter?
Goff.
Oh, there's the Pop Douglas play also, which God, I mean, that's just triple condom Pop Douglas play, but it is available to us.
I don't love it. I don't
No, neither
love
do I.
the pop. I mean, he's a fun player. He's fun with the ball in his hands. But like, what is he really getting you in best ball? Like, what's the ceiling on
Yeah.
Pop Douglas this season? Right? What, 600 yards?
Especially on Underdog, he's just not a touchdown scorer, and like all I'm thinking about on Underdog is like how many touchdowns can I get? So yeah.
We're about to be. All right, we're on the clock. Kyle Williams is available if we want to take him.
Yeah, I
here.
mean, past ADP and we need the stack partner. I think it's a
Yeah.
no-brainer. No matter what you think of Kyle Williams, I think just from a best ball 101 strategy, we have to take him there.
For sure. Gonna recap this team right now real quick. At quarterback, Drake May. Running back, Bijan Robinson, Omarion Hampton, Jalen Warren. Wide receiver, JSN, Xavier Worthy, Jacoby Myers, Matthew Golden, Michael Pittman Jr., Kyle Williams, and tight end, Brock Bowers. This is coming together pretty nicely. This is
Go ahead.
I was just saying it. I feel like I'm being chauffeured once again. I can just kick back in the limo.
One thing that we could think about setting up is the indie stuff. I don't know if Tyler Warren's going to make it back to us, but I only want to take 2 tight ends when I have Bowers, and so if we were to get Tyler Warren back to us, you set up the Daniel Jones. I don't know what you think about who will be starting for the Colts in the best ball playoffs. My gut right now is it's Daniel Jones. I don't want to rule out Anthony Richardson, but like it will be somewhat unique in these early builds to have Daniel Jones stacks, and so we have Pittman. If we added Warren, we could get Daniel Jones later. I thought that was like an interesting idea from like a game theory perspective, where a lot of teams do not have Daniel Jones. And if he gets like announced the starter, his ADP is going to go up a lot because he can run a little bit, and I mean his ADP is going to jump.
Yeah, Tyler Warren just went off the board, getting a lot of kind of Taysom Hill light vibes from what general manager Chris Ballard, head coach Shane Steichen are saying there. Definitely notice what they were saying about his possible usage, close to the goal line, and how they can use him in the backfield, which I was thinking like maybe this is not great for Jonathan Taylor, especially if Anthony Richardson is starting as well. Then you have like 3 different guys who could kind of be punching it in there. But if it's Daniel Jones, then that's much better for
And Daniel Jones had a top 10, I believe, or maybe top 11 fantasy season with the Giants a few years ago. Like it's at least in there somewhere. What's Geno's ADP? Because I do think we need Geno.
It's like 167, I want to say 165. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it should be unlikely that like once you have Bowers and Jacoby, it should be unlikely that someone reaches ahead of ADP for Geno, but you never know with these animals.
For real, man. We are 1 pick away here. And at the top of the board is Dallas Goedert, Romeo Dobbs, he who shall not be named.
Yeah.
Hello, Romeo Dobbs.
Yeah, I like setting up Trevor Lawrence back doors here. If he gets to us, you can go De'Ami Brown and Brenton Strange back doors with Trevor Lawrence if he was to get to us.
He is available. Want to go ahead?
that would be my pick, and then I would try to get Geno and probably be done at quarterback there.
Yeah, really good ADP value on Trevor Lawrence, who I think his ADP is too low anyway.
Yeah.
CBK said he got his Penn State natty position in January. Mark it down.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Lost obviously a lot of really good players to the NFL draft. I mean, you know, Drew Aller's back, but no Abdul Carter is tough. But they just keep churning out NFL talent year after year. So hopefully, man, hopefully next year's the year. It's just hard for me to see them getting a cleaner path than they got this year when they got to play SMU and Boise State on their way to the semifinal.
Can't wait to see what tight end comes out of there after this year. They've had Brenton Strange, Theo Johnson, Tyler Warren, all in the NFL.
I was just gonna say that Rachaad White pick, man, he just keeps going late, man, and like Rachaad White is still a good NFL player, especially in the passing game. I prefer Rachaad White in this 140 range on full PPR, but still think it's pretty late for some contingent value and a reasonable amount of standalone value, I think, for Rachaad White too.
For sure. Pass catcher, plays most of their third downs. They love him in pass protection. They use him around the goal line as well. Fantasy Football Garage agrees that Geno is a great value as a late QB. Seems like the offense can be consolidated.
Yeah. Do you think we need to take Geno here, or should we try to push it on Geno? My gut is to try to push it, but
I would like to try to push it.
Okay.
Again, you pointed out bunch of animals in here. I agree, but that's not going to dissuade me from doing what I think might be the right thing.
So once you have Bowers and Jacoby, there's way more.
Yeah, we're on the clock here. Any way that you are leaning?
Yeah, I think we should probably take Brenton Strange here and just be done at tight end. I'm not sure what his ADP is these days.
It's pretty close. It's 159.
Yeah, I think we should take Brenton Strange.
Oh, we can't. Same.
Oh, okay.
I tapped Freiermuth.
Oh no, panic Freiermuth. That's okay. We still could have we still could have done it, and there's
Henry as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can take a 0 at tight end, and we can still advance out of your group. I don't think it's like ideal, but you could also tack on like a last round tight end. But with Bowers, you definitely should be trying to get 2 tight end teams. I think like one of the edges of having Bowers only having to take 2 tight ends.
Definitely.
I'm sorry, I've not memorized I don't have the flashcards for my bye weeks yet.
That was on me. Casey Brown wants to know if there are any shower narratives to pay attention to this year.
Good question. I haven't really thought through the shower narratives for this year yet. So many people have tried to debunk the venerable shower narrative, so we'll see.
Imagine not drafting a tight end because you're worried about losing 5 points.
Right. And like, especially on Underdog, where like these guys just do not score like at all. Like I'm okay with taking a 0 at tight end 1 week through the bye week stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, I'll be thinking about that mistake I just made for a while, for years. It will drive me.
We would have won best ball mania if not for that.
Yeah, that'll be my big lesson.
Let me see the running backs that are left here. We probably need to end up with at least 5. Yeah, and it starts to get like real thin through here. I don't know what you think about the Braylon Allen versus Isaiah Davis battle. It seems like I think the Jets want Braylon Allen to win it, but it was scary to me last year. They played Isaiah Davis so much. Obviously, Will Shipley is one of my most owned guys. His ADP has been going nuts lately.
Yeah, I do think Isaiah Davis is a better running back than Braylon Allen. I do think Braylon Allen more likely for goal line work. We're on the clock here. Will Shipley, Rico Dowdle.
I think we need Geno, right? If Geno's there.
Geno is gone.
Oh no.
Yeah, Penix is available past ADP. We have Bijan.
Yeah, that's okay. I'd pass on him. I'd rather go with Shipley or
all right,
or one of the running backs.
Let's do Shipley.
I can't believe we didn't end up with Geno. We flew too close to the sun.
Bastard in here took him.
We should have gone Geno over Freiermuth was
he went 157. So about 8 to 10 picks before ADP here. But that's okay-ish. We do have a strong 2 quarterbacks right now in Drake May and Trevor Lawrence.
And you could add Daniel Jones in there. We have Pittman, right?
Yep.
Oh, and we have Sam Darnold access. So like one of those quarterbacks, I think will be fine with. Oh, and Hunter. I forgot about Hunter Henry too. This is what happens when I'm not like on the sticks. I forgot that Hunter Henry should have been in there with the Drake May stack with the Kyle Williams.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's all about the Freiermuth pick. You're not gonna be able to sleep tonight. You cost us $2 million or whatever. How much is first this year? $2 million.
It's $2 million. Yeah.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Yes.
Higgins and Jalen Knoll, first wide receiver shower narrative, says JGFC. And Gary wanted us to take Penix, and we disappointed you, Gary.
But there's just later.
I'm telling you, the Freiermuth thing just sent this train off the damn rails.
I kind of think we should take Hunter Henry for the stack here, just even because it's past
I'm good
ADP. With it. I hate taking 3 tight ends with Brock Bowers, but I think we kind of have to get the stack with Drake May, and like that's how we win in week 17. Like Drake May goes completely berserk, and it's Kyle Williams and Hunter Henry.
I'm down. We did it. Quick recap of our team right now. Quarterback Drake May, Trevor Lawrence. Running back Bijan Robinson, Omarion Hampton, Jalen Warren, Will Shipley. Wide receiver JSN, Xavier Worthy, Jacoby Myers, Matthew Golden, Michael Pittman Jr., Kyle Williams. And at tight end, Brock Bowers, Pat Freiermuth, and Hunter Henry. Where are you thinking we'll end up kind of structure-wise with this team here?
Yeah, it depends how long Darnold and Daniel Jones last. I wouldn't want to reach for them. I'd rather just try to keep going here. So probably 2.5 or 3 quarterback, and then should probably get to go up a little bit. Let me just see what the structure is now.
2, 3, right?
Yeah, probably 2. Probably going to end up with 3. Like the 3-3 teams, I was just looking at like the advance rates of Best Ball Mania the last 5 years. The 3-3s, like 3 quarterback, 3 tight ends, advance at a like starkly higher rate than some of these others. And I'm gonna keep going through the data, and I'll probably tweet about it on Monday or Tuesday. But yeah, the 3-3 definitely advances a lot more.
So if we go 3-3 there, then we'll have 12 spots left between running back and wide receiver. Are you thinking 5 running backs, 6 running backs?
I think at least 5. Let's see what's available at running back.
Right now, it's Justice Hill, which is like, if we want to go 5, that feels like a pretty good 5th.
Yeah.
Running back of a guy that's going to play, 30-35% of snaps this year, but some of them will be weighted in games where the Ravens are behind and Derrick Henry is off the field.
Yeah. What do you think about the Marshawn Lloyd versus Emmanuel Wilson battle?
I think it just comes down to health. Like, can Marshawn Lloyd stay healthy? Like, they keep talking about, like, we'd love for this guy to be on the field. He's a matchup nightmare.
Right.
And he's injured, which is crazy because he didn't have he had, I think, an ACL or something a long time ago, like 2020 but really nothing after that. And then in the NFL, just like hamstring, ankle, appendicitis, like.
We could go Giddens and then last round Daniel Jones, I think, is interesting.
I like Giddens. He gives us a week 17 correlation here with Jacksonville, and I feel pretty good about him being the RB2 there.
Yeah.
Lloyd goes off. You want to go Giddens over Justice?
Yeah, I think Giddens over Hill just for the Daniel Jones backdoor stuff if we want to go that route.
Beautiful. Alrighty. So you thinking then are you thinking we're done at running back and we would take one more receiver here?
Let's see what's left at wide receiver.
Okay.
Yeah, Diami. I think. Oh, I forgot about Diami. We need Diami.
He's gone.
I totally forgot. See, man. I'm like a big star method guy. Like once I take Trevor Lawrence, like I'm a big star method where I just like I put him in the queue, all the Jaguars guys in the queue, just so I don't forget about it.
He went at 169 here.
Yeah. God. That I wouldn't have taken him that high anyways. So yeah.
I should
But
not have
yeah,
tweeted about De'Ami Brown.
Slayton, God, Tutu is boring, but yeah, Slayton's probably my favorite of these
Slayton's
guys.
nice.
He just
Yeah.
like actually fits with Russell Wilson. Anything else below these guys that is exciting at all?
Tutu's very interesting. I mean, I got a
Yeah.
ton of Jalen Coker, but I don't know how well he actually fits on this team.
Yeah.
I think Tutu or Slayton would be better.
Yeah, I think Slayton's fit with Russell Wilson, at least on paper, is like actually good. So I think Slayton is like an actually decent NFL wide receiver. I would go with him.
Very good wide receiver. Feel great about him being a seventh receiver on this team, and again, just kind of fits perfectly with the receiver room that we have here of JSN, Xavier Worthy, Jacoby Myers, Matthew Golden, Michael Pittman Jr., Kyle Williams, Darius Slayton. Not a ton of like, hey, we can count on this guy every single week for a very productive and playable week. But you know, with Worthy, I'm sure we'll get some big games there. Jacoby more consistent guy. Matthew Golden, you know, kind of a wild card X factor for us on this team, and just a good value I feel on where Michael Pittman Jr. is going right now. And we got our Kyle Williams stacked up. So if Kyle Williams hits, that'll be really good for our room. Let me go through some questions here in the chat. Any thoughts on Michael Penix or JJ McCarthy MVP at 75-1, Adam?
I took McCarthy at 200-1. So 75-1 starting to get a little bit thinner, but yeah, I think McCarthy has a path for sure. I mean, this team won 15 games with Sam Darnold last year. And so when you're talking about MVP candidates, you have to win 13, 14, 15 games. I don't know that the Falcons can do that, but I definitely think that the Vikings can. Vikings have a pretty good team. So yeah, 75-1 starting to get a little weak, but I'm probably just biased because it was longer earlier.
Coming up on our last pick, 2 picks away now here.
Yeah, I think it's either Daniel Jones, unless he went.
I think he's gone.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
so then I think it's probably running back for us.
Okay. Yeah, Jackson Dart would be the only one. Don't love that. Very good with a running back here. Any of these guys strike your fancy? Devin Neal.
I've been mixing in. Yeah, we gave a bump to Keaton Mitchell lately. Like he was awesome before all the injuries. It's like he could easily be a 0 all year, but I like Keaton Mitchell. Like in some outcomes, people forget how good he was for like a 7-game stretch 2 years ago.
Yeah, he was electric, and then he had that kind of like Looney Tunes injury.
Yep.
Where he like bends his leg into a position where it should have not been bent.
Yeah. And the other thing I'd say, you know, when I'm playing Best Ball Mania, I don't like go out of my way to do it, but Keaton Mitchell may not be drafted in every Best Ball Mania. In fact, in a lot of them, he won't. We have ownership projection on the site. I could check it. But yeah, like that's valuable because if Keaton Mitchell goes off in the playoffs and he's not even on people's teams, obviously that's a huge edge. Huge.
CBK here calling his shot, saying that De'Ami Brown outproduces Travis Hunter straight up.
I mean, what if they decide they get into the season and he's like, yeah, Travis Hunter's not doing that well at wide receiver. Let's just make him a dominant cornerback. And then that's the way it goes. Like there's outcomes where I could see that happening. I don't think it's very likely, but it's not the craziest thing I've heard CBK.
Yeah, not the craziest, but it's
still crazy.
Contending. It's like a 4 seed in the tournament of crazy things that I've heard. We're gonna go ahead and name this draft that we just completed here my 52nd.
Oh my god!
Best Ball Mania on Underdog, and Adam Levitan, guaranteed winner. I mean that 2 mil is as good as spent, my friend. Yeah. With the Freiermuth. Like we gave them we gave them a little bump, like a little head start almost. One hand tied behind our back in the late rounds.
Yeah, well, you never know. Fireman's could have a huge year, and it could all be all good.
Yeah. JGFC wants to know, what are the odds of Brashard Smith being a stone cold zero?
I think relatively high. I mean, people like these like round 6, round 7 players. It's just really hard for me to take them this early in the process. If we get to camp and I start to think that he's looks reasonably in terms of the depth chart, I'll start taking him more. But at this point in the season, man, taking a 0 is just like, in Best Ball Mania, it's not as bad, but in some of the smaller field stuff, it's so bad to take a 0. I mean, just so bad. So I have not taken Brashard Smith really much at all. Have you?
I've taken him here and there when it's, like a luxury kind of pick at the end of a draft. And, definitely if I have some Denver kind of correlation for week 17 there. But when we're talking about the entire Kansas City running back room, how what's your temperature on Isaiah Pacheco?
Yeah, I mean, the comments on his health were great. The comments around Tony Pollard and Cooper Kupp after they broke their leg and came back were great also, before they really struggled. So I'm a little hesitant. We did bump Pacheco lately in our rankings just on some of the health stuff that it looks like he's good and everybody says he's good. Probably not my favorite play is Pacheco, but yeah, I think all the signs seem good right now on him.
Yeah, in such a big contest with so many entries, and a lot of us are maxing at 150. I do think that he's a player who could just possibly kind of bury us at this ADP if we end up seeing the Isaiah Pacheco from like 2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
But because we saw him come back last year from this injury and just look so terrible and hobbled, then we're like, oh, this is, I guess, who Isaiah Pacheco is now, kind of in my mind, like recency bias type thing. And I wonder if he just goes back to at least 90% of the Pacheco that we saw a couple seasons ago.
Yeah. I mean, Kareem Hunt and Elijah Mitchell are both still there, right? I mean, it's like they have other options if they want to with guys. Obviously, they're very familiar with Kareem Hunt. And I thought when Elijah Mitchell is healthy, he's like a legit good running back. So
absolutely, for sure. Okay. So want to ask you one question here before we end things. A lot of people watching right now that are interested in working in this industry. Any advice that you have for people trying to break their way in?
Yeah. I tell people all the time, like, if you want to do it, do it. Like, Greg's a perfect example. Like, find a niche that other people aren't doing, and nothing is stopping you from starting a YouTube channel, from starting a podcast, from tweeting a lot, from finding some other platform like TikTok or whatever and becoming big on there. It's never been easier. Like, when I first started, I needed NBC to give me a platform at the beginning. You don't need someone to give you a platform now. So when we look at what people, I mean, most of the stuff we hire now is not like what most people are asking about. Most stuff we hire now is more on the data side and like the modeling side. But if we are looking at people for content, it's not like, where'd you go to school? It's like, show me what you've done. Where have you built an audience? Not like, what have you won? I don't really care if you've won like the mini Schnauzer 4 or whatever like that. Like, what have you done work-wise? And there's people all the time, like the Badge Bros guys, they just spun up a YouTube channel and now they're super popular and they're getting, sponsorships and stuff. And, if you are going to make it, you should be able to find 1,000 people that want to hear what you have to say. And if you can find 1,000 people, you can start to see at least a path to making a living, not a great living, but a living. And that's the other thing that I see, people expecting to get rich doing this stuff, just not it. I think a lot of guys on our team could make a lot more, and we're making a lot more before they came to work with us, working with real tech companies and stuff. They want to work in sports, and I totally respect that. Life's more important, but you got to realize that there's not as much money in it as maybe some people think.
Yeah, I can attest to that.
You should raise the price. Raise the price on your pay. How much is the Discord?
It's $5 a month.
Yeah, I'm sorry to anyone out there who doesn't want Greg to raise the price, but I think you get away with for sure. People, you would not lose people if you raised it to 10.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people tell me that. I agree. I think the value, the information in that Discord is extremely valuable and well worth $10 a month. For me, it's just like a mental thing of, I launched this like less than a year ago, this Discord, and I just kind of feel bad raising it like almost immediately. And then also just like kind of business wise, I think it might make sense for me to just like financially kind of eat a little more shit this year and bring more people in and let them kind of experience it and see how great it is. And then, you know, close the doors a little more
100%
after this season. I'd like to give everyone like a 1 year heads up that, hey, raising the price, because like the price of everything else around us is going up. I can't go to a store and say like, hey, this used to be the price, and my Discord should actually be $10, but it's $5. I feel like I'm doing a good Samaritan service. Can you give me a break here?
They're putting tariffs. Tariffs are on press conferences now.
That's right. Dude, wait until the games are in London this year. The tariffs on those press conferences are going to be absolutely outrageous. They're going to break me. They will break me. CSI will shut down during the international slate of games this year.
Exactly.
Adam, thank you so much for joining us. Next week on Tuesday, going to do going back to best ball karaoke. Not sure the theme yet. I think it's going to be Nirvana, probably a bunch of Nirvana songs. And then on Wednesday, we have Jacob Sanderson. On Friday, we have Scott Barrett from Fantasy Points. This all-star train keeps rolling. Adam, can you please let us know what you've got going on over at ETR?
Yeah, if you guys are into best ball, which if you're watching this, I assume you are, you can check out our best ball product. We have rankings for pretty much every site and every format, and then a bunch of context. We'll be coming out with a bunch of data related articles too on strategy stuff that we found from digging through the last 5 years of data. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you to everyone for hanging out with us today. Sorry about the Pat Freiermuth pick. I promise to be better in the future. Y'all have a good one. Later. Peace.